Good afternoon, Committee on Finance. Welcome to our briefing. This is an informational briefing dealing with the state budget. We have three departments this afternoon: Department of Taxation, followed by the Attorney General's office, and lastly, Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. After Department of Taxation is done with their budget briefing, we will take a short recess for Department of Taxation to exit the Zoom hearing, and we will allow for Department of Attorney General's office to come into our Zoom hearing. With that, we will turn it over to the director. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for allowing me to present my budget. Thank you, committee members. Chair, I do have my staff in the conference room. They're taking notes and here to answer any of your questions. Just some brief comments. This particular budget is a rebuilding budget. We've only asked for what I think we can manage in the next biennium, not biennium, the next year. And so, you know, we will be coming in for more asks the next 2 to 3 years to completely rebuild the department. And with that, I'm ready to answer any of your questions.
Could you provide a brief summary of some of your requests?
Yeah, so our request is really centered on what's broken. So our first request was for our CI unit. We only have 2 guys. 2 guys can't be in the CI unit. After that, we're requesting for more auditors, more compliance personnel, starting with our collectors, office auditors, and field auditors. We're trying to ramp up the compliance crew. Also, we're in our rebuilding stage in our ITSO department. What we're trying to do in our ITSO department is build some kind of sustainability. The Senate is very concerned that we're too vendor oriented. We're trying to get training programs and other things to really make the state worker control that particular process. Some of the things that we did during the year is we have an internship program. I think we're the only ones that had interns, but we're using that as a recruiting tool. We do have 2 interns right now to hopefully, they're in the 2nd or 3rd year of college, so hopefully they'll like working here at Dole Tax, and when they do graduate, that they will want to join us. I also started another experiment where I'm hiring non-accounting majors for the tax department and seeing if I can train them to be auditors. These are little initiatives I'm trying to do because, you know, I found that trying to hire off the street for people to be collectors and auditors is becoming pretty difficult. So these are the things that we're trying to do. This is the direction we're trying to go in, Chair.
Okay, with that, any questions, members? Representative Kobayashi.
Hello, Isaac.
Hello, Bert.
Is there anything that we can do further to collect more monies currently owed to the state?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question, Representative. As you know, in the last couple of years, because of the pandemic and because of the economic situation, our department has been pretty much decimated with cuts. First of all, people owe us $1.3 billion and climbing, and we're really needing collectors. So if you notice that's high on my priority list, that we get more collectors in here. But of course, you know, you just can't hire collectors off the street. One of the things that we did do in the last year is we were very fortunate to finally hire a state tax collector. There's a position called state tax collector, and that's Lynn Reagan. And she is an attorney, a collection attorney by profession. And we see a lot of good things from her. In fact, we're trying to get a reorganization done over here where her collection division would be a sole division reporting directly to the director to put more emphasis. So to answer your questions, yes, if we can get more collectors, and we can use at least 3 times more collectors than what we're using right now, but it's going to take time. Another thing that I would like to see is some of our vacant unfunded positions, if we could have those positions available when and if we ever come across somebody that's really, really good, we want to hire them as soon as possible and have the positions available to execute that.
When you said you could use up to 3 times more tax collectors, what does that amount to in number of positions?
Oh, gee, I don't have that top of my head, but I'm gonna guess maybe 200 on total. Yeah, but it's Representative, it's $1.3 billion, and we're very, very aggressive in compliance right now. That amount is only going to grow. So again, collections agents is something that we really, really need. I'll get the exact number of employees to you in an email.
Thank you, Representative Peruso.
Aloha, Director Choi. Thank you for being here.
Aloha.
Aloha. During the pandemic, we saw that many landlords preferred to decline acceptance of federal funds, subsidies, rather than pay taxes on.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So I was wondering if you have any ideas about how we can use the power of the state to compel folks to register those rentals. Do you have any ideas around that?
So when that particular initiative came out, some landlords, I should say it the other way, some renters did apply for the subsidy and reported that their landlords did not give them their general excise tax number. And we followed up on every single one of those. I think I made the paper saying that, yeah, we're going after the landlords that doesn't have GE. Also, we have a renter's credit. If you don't give your GE tax information, you can't get the renter's credit. And then, Representative, let's face it, if people just don't want to pay taxes, whistleblowers are always the best way. When the renters apply for credit and they leave out the general excise tax number, that's a huge flag for us, and we do go after them. So we are actively pursuing people that are non-compliant, especially people that are non-filers. This particular department has actually no heart for non-filing people. If you file, we'll try our best to help you out the best we can. But if you're a non-filer, you get no aloha from our department.
Okay, and are you coordinating with the counties on this? Like
Yes.
in terms of the whistleblower system?
Yes, in fact, what we did during the interim was work with the counties on the TAT. Now we have a great information sharing regimen. In fact, we're kind of meeting, it's kind of informal, but we're meeting almost on a monthly basis with the finance directors. And once they put their tax departments together, we'll be meeting with them regularly. We'll be sharing information. Not only will we get zoning information, but we can share information on other rental properties and other initiatives. So that's turning out to be pretty good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Tam.
Hi, Director Choi. Thank you so much for being here. I have a question about House Bill 286 that passed last year about the tax reporting bill for REITs. There is a deadline that's coming up that is requested in the bill that any real estate investment trust that's operating has to report that they are one or declare they are one to you. Have they done that?
Okay, the filing season has just started, so then we can start collecting information now, right? I think it was effective for the tax year 2021, which is last year. Today's only January 2022, so they haven't started their filing yet. So once we get that information, yeah.
In the bill, it says that
I'm sorry.
In the bill, it says that, these trusts have to declare that they are one to the Department of Taxation by January 15th, 2022, starting July 21st, 2021. Have they done that though?
I don't know if they started, that's not on my radar screen, but Representative, I can get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you,
Okay.
Chair.
Thank you. Next is Representative Sayama.
Thank you, Director Choi. I just wanted to get an update from you and your office regarding working with the counties on the THE tax. If you could just provide us general progress as well as maybe some issues that have come up with coordinating with them.
The project is going pretty good in 3 counties, Kauai, Maui, and the Big Island. I think City and County of Honolulu is going their own direction. So I don't really know what they're doing, but the other 3 counties have been collecting money. They're very, very happy. Big Island has yet to start. I think it's just going to be effective this month. But I know Kauai, Maui has collected in the millions, and it seems to be a pretty smooth process. Again, they're mirroring our laws, and we're cooperating with each other. And I think they're collecting their money. I think it's working well.
Thank you, Chair. And a follow-up question. Why did maybe this is a question for the City Council, but was there a particular reason why the County of Oahu wasn't, or Honolulu wasn't going along with DOE tax on this?
I think it's better to ask them.
Okay.
As you know, they passed their ordinance mid-month, and that's causing a little bit of consternation. When you maybe a little lesson in tax legislation, please don't pass a bill in mid-month because it's very hard to administer a mid-month type of effective date. But so they're having some issues in the mechanical parts of the law. They're observing what the other counties are doing, and I really couldn't answer for them, but our department is open to helping them as much as we help the other counties.
Understood. Thank you for answering those questions. Thank you, Chair. No further questions.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
We will take a short recess while we allow the AG's office to enter. Welcome back. Committee on Finance will continue our budget briefing, and now we have the Attorney General's office, Attorney Holly Shikara. I understand that you have a presentation for us.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair Luke and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss our budget with you. Before getting started, I'd like to introduce others who are here with me. I have First Deputy Attorney General Valerie Kato, Special Assistant to the Attorney General Gary Yamashiroya, Management Analyst Kelson Paiva, and also on the screen we have Administrative Services Manager Dave Moore, Lynette Lau of our Child Support Enforcement Agency, Julie Ebato of our Crime Prevention and Justice Assistance Division, and Christopher Young of our Hawaii Criminal Justice Data Center. I'd like to start by providing an example of the great work of our employees. I'd like to highlight just a few of our accomplishments this past year. Our deputies have figured out ways to be efficient and effective even during the pandemic. We have increased responsibilities, as have all other government entities, as a result of the pandemic, and our employees have taken on extra work outside of their regular duties to assist the state. Many of our people have gone above and beyond and stepped up to the plate when they were needed. Our Child Support Enforcement Agency was able to collect over $121 million during the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. The agency expanded payment options to include debit and credit cards. And our Office of Child Support Hearings adapted to telephone hearings, conducting hearings at pre-pandemic levels. Our Crime Prevention and Justice Assistance Division administers federal grants to state and county criminal justice agencies and nonprofit victim service providers. And this past year awarded almost $48 million in grant funds. Our Civil Recoveries Division had net revenue collections of $13.2 million. I would also like to recognize our Missing Child Center Hawaii team, as they were awarded the U.S. Department of Justice Child Protection Award in 2021. Our department has been working hard on Operation Keiki Shield, identifying, locating, and arresting offenders in electronic enticement of child cases. 2021 saw the first Operation Keiki Shield taking place on the Big Island, and the operation resulted in 5 arrests. Our Investigations Division is instrumental in following up on violations of the safe travel requirements and vaccination card frauds. In addition to their daily work, they have investigated 4,639 quarantine violation enforcement matters. Our COVID exemption team was extremely busy and responded to over 300,000 emails from the public since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. The team has also processed 19,000 exemption applications in 2021. Our department, primarily our Health Division, has assisted in drafting and reviewing hundreds of COVID-related contracts, 250 of them on behalf of the Department of Health in 2021. The Hawaii Criminal Justice Data Center services law enforcement and criminal justice agencies statewide. They continue to provide 24/7 service during the pandemic. We have also been busy working on a number of big litigation cases that have brought money into the state. We obtained $834 million in civil penalties against Bristol Myers Squibb for unfair and deceptive trade practices in their marketing and distribution of the prescription drug Plavix. We were able to take cases in which we were sued and recovered millions of dollars for the state. In the cyber case, where cyber failed on a computer implementation contract for DOT Highways Division, cyber sued the state for $17 million. We filed a counterclaim, was able to defeat cyber's claim, and ultimately recovered money for the state from 6 different sources, totaling about $31.7 million. We also had a great outcome in the Nelson case, saving approximately $21 million per year, defeating the claim that the legislature had constantly shortchanged DHHL beneficiaries. We're also working on a number of opioid cases, with the McKinsey case alone resulting in nearly $2 million for the state of Hawaii, with approximately $1.7 million already received. Other opioid cases that are pending include those that are listed on the screen, and our estimated amounts that we hopefully will be able to collect. We also prevailed in the Kaka'ako Streets case, where we were able to get a ruling that allows the private and businesses, the public and the businesses, to use streets again without paying extortionate parking charges. Additionally, we have defended the state on a myriad of challenges relating to COVID-19, including the successful defense of the state's vaccination and testing policy. This slide identifies the little over a dozen cases that we've been involved with and the outcome of the status of those cases. We have prevailed in nearly all of the cases to date. These are just a few of the examples of the work our department has done this past year. I'd like to take some time now to highlight a few of our budget requests. One of our most significant budget requests is the funding being sought to bring pay parity for our deputy attorneys general when compared to other government entities. This slide is the average salary of deputies based on the years of experience. The deputy attorneys general in our department are among the best and brightest attorneys in the state, and we want to be able to continue to recruit high caliber attorneys. These are attorneys who are looking to do public service work, and it is extremely difficult for our department to attract these individuals when they are able to make a much higher salary working for other government law entities. We're also seeking an emergency appropriation to allow us to continue aggressively defending the Dannenberg case. We are in the middle of trial, which we believe is going well, and require additional funding for the defense of that case. We are also seeking the establishment of some new positions. Critically, we need a supervisor and legal secretary position for our health division. When the Health and Human Services Division was split in two, it left us without a position for a health division supervisor and a legal secretary. These are essential positions, particularly with the wide range of issues and cases we are assisting and representing the Department of Health on. We are also seeking positions for our Special Investigation and Prosecution Unit, SIPU, which will allow our department to put an emphasis on fraud and white-collar crime cases. We have made some internal shifts, moving the fraud piece of our Complex Litigation, Fraud, and Compliance Unit to our Criminal Justice Division. SIPU will sit within our Criminal Justice Division, and the positions will be able to assist us in protecting or prosecuting the white-collar crime cases, which tend to be much more document-intensive and complex. Our department continues to find ways to protect the public and provide exceptional representation and advice and counsel to our clients. Our budget request will allow us to continue doing this great work. I'm available for any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Would you mind taking the screen off? Yeah, thank you. Any questions, members? You did such a good job. There's no questions. Oh, actually, we have Representative Martin.
Hi, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to welcome the Attorney General and thank her for her support already in her brief tenure to issues in my district. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Peruso.
I have a quick question that's come up as a result of our investigatory committee over the interim, and in working with the SLDF fund and DLNR, there was a memo written by the Deputy AG for that department with respect to the department's use of ceded land revenues. And I had asked the department, and I was wondering, would you require additional funding to look into that issue further? Because I think it's a massive issue, but I do think it's really important to make sure that we are aligning our practices with the Constitution and with state law. So is that something that your department would require additional funds to look into, or do you have sufficient staffing to do that?
Well, that would be our Land and Transportation Division. And definitely, I think if we are going to look into that issue in a proper manner, we will need to have more resources to be able to do that.
Can you elaborate a little bit? Like, what are we talking about?
I would have to check with my the supervisor of our Land and Transportation Division. So Representative Peruso, if we could get back to you on that, we certainly will provide you information.
I would very much appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you, Attorney General, for your good work. And we will go into a short recess to allow the next Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, to enter the Zoom room.
Thank you,
Aloha.
Chair.
Aloha, welcome back. Committee on Finance will continue our informational briefing, and we have the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs with us. We have Director Catherine Alcuni Colon. Welcome, and I will turn it over to you.
Aloha and Happy New Year, Chair Luke, Vice Chair Cullen, members of the Committee on Finance. I'm Kat Awakuni Colon. I'm the Director of the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to discuss with you the department's fiscal year 2023 budget. You have our testimony. I won't read it to you, but I do have a number of our team with us in this Zoom room. So wanted to at least let you know who we have sitting in with me. From the director's office, I'm joined by Deputy Director Joanne Uchida Takeuchi, Kyle Ladau, who is our department's new legislative coordinator. He's just a week and a half on the job. April Rogers, the department's new communications officer, same thing, just over a week on the job. Patrick Chen, the department's personnel officer. From our administrative services office, Lynn Murakami, our fiscal officer and our acting business management officer. From the Office of Administrative Hearings, Craig Uehara, he's our senior hearings officer. From our Information Systems and Communications Office, Bob Hiltner, he's the manager of that division. Joining him is Dave Shack, the infrastructure branch manager. From CCA 102, Cable Television Division, Lisa Jisuk Kim, the cable administrator. From CCA 103, Division of Consumer Advocacy, Dean Nishina, the consumer advocate. From CCA 104, Division of Financial Institutions, Iris Ikeda, the Financial Institutions Commissioner, and she's joined by Tara Murphy, the Deputy Financial Institutions Deputy Commissioner. From CCA 105, Professional and Vocational Licensing Division, Alani Kyogi, and she's the licensing administrator. And she's joined by Neil Fujitani, the executive officer for the Real Estate Commission, and Charlene Oshiro, she's a PVL program specialist. From CCA 106, the Insurance Division, Colin Hayashida, the Insurance Commissioner, and joining him is Jerry Bump, an Insurance Program Specialist. From CCA 107, Post-Secondary Education Authorization Program, Jason Horiuchi, the Program Administrator. From CCA 110, Office of Consumer Protection, Stephen Levins, he's the Executive Director of that division, and he's joined by Raji Tolentino, a staff attorney. From CCA 111, Business Registration and Securities Regulation, is Tai Nohara. She's the Securities Commissioner, and she's joined by Cheryl Pang, Business Registrations Program Specialist. From CCA 112, Regulated Industries Complaints Office, Esther Brown. She's the Complaints and Enforcement Officer. And then finally, from the Public Utilities Commission, which is administratively attached to the department, Jay Griffin. He's the chair of the PUC, and he's joined by Jody Endo Chai, the executive officer, David Parsons, the chief of policy and research, and Jan Mulvey, she's their administrative services officer. So Chair, if I could give you a brief explanation of some of the significant budget requests, that I'd be happy to do so.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Most notably, you know, we don't often ask for many positions, and this particular year, we're coming in with a few. And so for CCA 104, we're asking to add 2 permanent positions for the Division of Financial Institutions to administer their small dollar lending program, and to add a permanent position for their non-depository trust program. So just wanted to see if Iris wanted to add any color to that, Commissioner Ikeda.
Aloha, thank you. So these are 3 positions that to staff up the new programs that were given to us last year by the legislature. 2 for the installment loan program. We have started all of these programs this year with existing staff, but that will be causing delays to our other industries processing their applications and requests. So we ask for these 3 positions through our bump in our ceiling. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And then for CCA 105, the Professional and Vocational Licensing Division, we're seeking to add 1 permanent position for the EMT licensing program that was given to PVL last year, and to add 4 permanent positions for the increased workload that has occurred over the last several years, and then to make permanent 2 temporary positions to assist with the midwifery program. And we're also asking for a trade-off of a permanent position as well. So I'm going to invite the licensing administrator, Alani Kyogi, to kind of provide a little more commentary there.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Finance Committee. Thank you for allowing me to explain our requests for positions. As Kat had mentioned, our first request is for the implementation of the new license type, the EMT1. We are expecting about 1,100 new licensees to apply, and that's just for the County of Honolulu. Again, it's about 1,100 applicants who can qualify for this license type and apply for an initial license. Our second request is a total of 4 positions, and this is to assist our licensing branch within the division. We've seen an increase of about 20% of applications across all license types, but most notably with the healthcare professions. Given that there is a global pandemic. The other request is to make permanent the positions provided to us by the legislature. They were temporary positions to implement the midwifery program. This is to make them permanent positions, an executive officer position and a secretary position. And then we are requesting a trade from a trust-funded position to a special funded position. This would allow us to recruit for a program analyst to assist with IT, budget, web updates, so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Chair, just a couple more notable highlights. We're asking for $450,000 for the insurance division to create an IT project. What we're hoping to do there is to create a captive case tracking process. So it would, sorry, it's not captive, it's the fraud branch. We're working currently on a captive one right now, which is why it's on my brain. But fraud branch needs to also have a case management system, and so is hoping to create a system using an appropriation that we again are seeking from you this year. And then $50,000 for Office of Consumer Protection. As you know, there when OCP is able to bring in funds after suing companies that have harmed consumers, it tends to be quite lumpy. And so we just wanted to be able to have enough ceiling to provide that central services assessment as those settlements come in. $10,000 of general support for software costs. This is for an internal tracking system, and these are the licensing costs for the Office of Administrative Hearing. And then $85,000 of general support for data maintenance. That's for our ISCO division, or who supports the entire department. And the rest is fringe. And then I guess, for the benefit of the rest of your members, Chair, just a reminder that we are not seeking any general fund appropriations, and these are all ceiling increases. And so with that, Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director. Any questions? Representative Bronco?
Thank you, Chair. This is for the Commissioner of Financial Institutions. Ikeda, please.
Yes.
Sure. I wanted to just kind of dive in about next steps for the Digital Currency Sandbox Innovation Program, and what is your plans to continue for making digital currency legal in the state of Hawaii?
So as you know, thank you for the question. So as you know, we have been conducting this 2-year study with the digital currency companies. It will end June 30th, 2022 for transactions by consumers, with a wind down period to end December 31st, 2022. So at the end of this year, we have concluded that our money transmitter law is not sufficient for these type of companies. And instead, we are proposing a new licensure scheme to license digital currency companies. And that will be up for discussion, we hope.
If the bill does pass and companies are able to apply for the license, will the 1-to-1 reserve ratio requirement go away for those companies?
So the 1-to-1 will be different. It will be a 1-to-1 with their with whatever digital currency that they're holding.
So they will still be required to hold a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yes, so that's for consumer protection.
So say, for an example, like Coinbase, if they apply for this special purpose digital currency license, and the consumer has about $140 million in assets for digital currency, they'll have to hold $140 million.
Yes, unless they can prove that they have some other way of protecting the consumer's funds. So as you know, the digital currency, it fluctuates daily, more than daily, I would say. And we we are still studying how to assess that at any given time. Right now, we have that pegged at a point in time every quarter that we would take a look at.
So my concern there is that if the reserve rate ratio is still 1-to-1, even after the special purpose digital currency license is available, it's going to limit the amount of trading houses the consumer can use. The large consumer houses such as Coinbase, Robinhood, Crypto.com won't be able to participate because our market is so small.
Right, and they are participating now. Not all of the companies that you mentioned, but the companies that are participating right now are able to comply with the permissible investments that we set out.
No, but it's just like smaller companies like River Financial, correct?
Other companies also.
I'm just concerned that there isn't a fair playing field in the sense that we're protecting smaller trading houses and not giving our consumers the full access to this financial product.
So we did, as you know, we did invite many companies to participate in the Digital Currency Innovation Lab. Not all companies wanted to participate because we did have strict requirements for them to follow, including providing consumer disclosures. And if companies did not apply, of course, they did not get reviewed and allowed into the Digital Currency Innovation Lab.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Kobayashi.
Hello, Director. I'm wondering what kind of fund balances you're carrying.
So we do have cash reserves as a specially funded department. They vary from division to division, kind of depending on what their revenue stream looks like. So it's anywhere from a minimum of 9 months up to close to 2 years, depending on, if they tend to be lumpy. So some divisions, only get cash infusions once a year. And as you may remember, really that was critical for us in, especially, the last couple of years where we were seeing significant, shortfall in terms of, the tax collection. So because we did not rely upon any of those amounts, we did not need to seek any monies from the general fund. And instead we were able to kind of rely on our cash reserves to make sure that we were able to provide the services that our licensees and, those we regulate require.
Well, I just wanted to get a feel for whether you were too high or too low in cash reserves, given the, shall we say, volatility of what's happened in business sectors in the last 2 years or so. I'm sure a lot of people have left the business, no longer paying fees, and I'm sure that other areas in your department might be still collecting as well as ever. So you're okay, essentially.
We've been able to weather that storm. Where possible, we have offered fee decreases or fee kind of holidays. But, we really have, again, because we have to remain self-sufficient, we have, ensured that we are able to continue on without relying on any general funds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Sayama.
Well, Director, I just wanted to follow up and if you could clarify how the upgrade to the insurance fraud investigations legacy system would help your department, I guess in its mission to prevent fraud, whether through online systems or through phones.
Yeah, so the insurance division as a whole is going to be transitioning to a system that is used by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, the SBS. That SBS system does not have a corresponding fraud investigation section that is going to really be helpful or useful for Hawaii, fraud investigations. And so what we're hoping to do is to replicate a system that we created for the securities enforcement folks, and because the fraud investigators really did like the system that the securities enforcement folks developed, and so are hoping to take a lot of the lessons learned through that project and to create a project, or I guess a system, that will allow for the fraud investigators to track that case information and keep that information secure and viewed only by those folks within that little branch.
Thank you. One follow-up. In the past year, has your fraud investigations team found increase in cases of fraud, again, in all its forms?
I'll ask Commissioner Hayashida if he's seen any increase there.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Representative Sayama, I can get back to you on that, whether we seen an increase year over year. 2 years worth of data, I don't know how substantial that would be. And as a reminder, the fraud unit investigates insureds, not insurance companies or insurance producers. So they take it to investigation and prosecution. And there's not always a relief back. So the real beneficiary of our fraud unit is the industry. So, but I'll get back to you on the year-to-year numbers for the past 3 years.
Thanks, Colin. Appreciate that. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much, Director. And this concludes our budget briefing for Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs.
Thank you so much for your time.